show where we dive deep into the lives and careers of talented individuals. I'm your host, Sanj Saigal, and today we have a special guest joining us from the UK. She's not only an actress, but also has experience working as a supporting artist in various films and television. Please welcome Amanda-Jane Cardy. Hello, Amanda.
Hi, Sanj.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Thank you for joining me. So let's start by discussing your journey as an actress and supporting artist. How did you discover your passion for acting, and what motivated you to pursue it as a career?
It all started when I was at school, actually. I'd started primary school and we had end of year productions. I'd always put myself forward, but then in high school, the productions got bigger. And again, I'd put myself forward for them, and that's where it all started. And I got so much enjoyment from them, and the feeling I felt when I was on stage, I thought, this is what I want to do. The feeling was indescribable. My heartbeat would, that's where I was at my best.
Okay.
And as we,
sorry to interrupt. I was just going to ask you, back then at school, was it unusual to want to be in that industry? Did your parents say, no way, you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or something else? Or did you actually, were you unusual at the time to like such a career?
I don't think it was. I think I was too young to think of it as a career. I know that. So obviously I was born and brought up in Australia, and then so I did my primary years and the beginning of my high school in Australia, and then I moved to Malta, where my parents are from. Right. And there was a language barrier there. I was brought up with my parents speaking to me in Maltese and me answering in English. Right. And I thought I need to get more involved by doing something like this. And I thought, what better place to do it than to do the end of year production? Wow. And I needed to prove to myself and to everyone else that, I could do it in a different language, although with a different accent, with an Australian accent. Right. And after the first one, it was such a success. And I remember my role was being it was a comedy. And I was so good at it, making people laugh. And I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to make, people happy. I want to do this. After that, I was chosen year after year after year to do it.
Was that a stage performance that you had to do?
It was a stage performance. But obviously, as you go into the higher years of school, the productions got bigger and bigger.
Right.
And I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to do this.
Wow. You may have heard the ambulance sirens in the background. That's reality. And I know reality is what you do best, really, or what you have been doing. As an actress, you've had an opportunity to work in roles and as a supporting artist. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience as a supporting artist on film and TV? I mean, how does it differ from being in a starring role?
I suppose it differs. Being a supporting artist, you don't necessarily have any lines, or, you're not the forefront, but you still have to be there. You still get to witness everything that the main cast get to witness. Right. And you need to have, I think, a set of skills that you can only learn by being a supporting artist. There's a lot of waiting around, Sanj. You've got to be patient. There's different takes and, waiting for cast to arrive, to leave, changing direction on set. But it's also really good, I think, for sitting back and just watching what goes behind the scenes. Right. And that's what I really enjoy doing, like watching, the actual, on set, what happens on set, because you don't necessarily have any lines, but you can sit back and watch what's going on and watch what's needed from you.
Right. Okay. And I guess a lot of the people you work with become like a family around you. Is that right?
They do. Especially when you do it year after year. If you're doing TV and you're doing a series, obviously I've been doing, they become like family. You spend a lot of time on these sets. There's a lot of time. Right. It's a long day. For me, it can be up to 24 hours.
Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, when you at the moment, what sort of project are you involved in at the moment, or your most recent project, for example?
So there's a couple of projects I can't actually speak about because they're just waiting to be commissioned.
Okay, understand.
So I'll have to come back on and talk to you about those.
You're always welcome, Amanda. You're always welcome.
Thank you. But for instance, a long-running series that, I think everybody knows that I do, well, most people know that I do that follow me, is the reality show Towie. Wow. And I've been doing that now for about 15 series.
Wow.
And that, like I said, on just a normal day, I would leave my house at 3 a.m. and get back roughly the same time, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. There's traveling. I'm a stickler for time. I'm always first on set and last to leave on set. So I'm always first there. Yeah. I can't think of anything worse than getting there and filming has started and I don't know where I'm meant to be. I don't know what I'm meant to do. So I'd rather be there early. I'm always first on set, ready to go, ready to take direction.
Well, that's something that struck me about you, that you've got this really amazing work ethic. You're just always there. You've got a very strong work ethic. I've looked at your Instagram and it looks very glamorous. Is it as glamorous as it looks?
I'd like to lie and say yes. But I mean, you're on the TV, you're on the screen. There, you're at premieres. That part is glamorous. Right. But behind the scenes, it's anything but. Like I said, at 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm on a train, heading down to wherever we're filming, no makeup, probably hair and curlers or some, it's not glamorous. And coming back home at 3 o'clock in the morning is even less glamorous than that. Yeah, right. Obviously, what you see on social media is a bit different to real life. There is, for instance, there is a lot of waiting around. You have to be patient. You have to be respectful. You have to take direction. Even though you're tired, you have to, be on the ball because that's what you're there to do. Amazing. So there is a lot of waiting around when you're filming, whatever you're filming, for whatever reasons. And
would you say that as a supporting artist, that's the best way into the industry? Would you say that's the foothold? There are a lot of young people, aspiring to be an actor, an actress. Is a supporting role a great way to start?
I think so. I think everybody should start off like that. Everybody, when you see, films or you want to be an actor, an actress, everybody thinks that you just, you get the role, you're there. That's not how it is. I just heard a podcast actually this week, Olivia Colman podcast, and the amount of no's she got, and this is a reality. You will, and you have to realize this. You're going to get so many no's, and that's okay. But if you can start off by doing something like a supporting artist, at least you're familiar with the set, you're familiar with positioning, you're familiar with a lot of things that when your time does come to get that part, it's not all an alien world. You know a bit about it. You've got that bit of, background. I fell into being a supporting artist. I was a very big fan. I'm not ashamed to say, of Towie. Really, really big fan.
Me too.
It was, it was a time when Towie had just won a BAFTA, which was unheard of for a reality show. It was a time when a lot of the main cast had their own businesses in Brentwood, in Essex. Yeah. And there were tours. I remember there were tours that you could take down there and go and visit these businesses. And I was like, oh my God, I'd love to do that. Wow. And that was as far as I thought I'd get, going down and having a tour. And then one day, I was on holiday in Marbella. And on my WhatsApp, there was a message that came up saying, if you happen to be in Marbella, we're looking for supporting artists for this day. And I thought, oh my God, really? I'm there, I'm here. God. So long story short, I went, I remember exactly my first scene. I remember exactly where I was. I was at Jack's Smokehouse upstairs in a restaurant. I remember seeing 3 of the cast. There was Diags.
You must have been so nervous, right? Because this is like quite an intimidating circumstance. You were. I
couldn't speak. I was looking at them and thinking, it just felt so surreal. I felt a bit of imposter syndrome actually, which I still suffer with now, because you're like, you tend to see these people and you're like, but I only see them, through my television screen. And now I'm here with them in Marbella as well, which is totally, and that was day one. And then I ended up filming every day for the whole week while I was there. That was series 21.
Oh, okay.
So I filmed for, I think it was 6 out of the 7 days. I filmed every day with them.
Wow. Well, I got to admit, looking at your Instagram, it just looks like you've got one big family around you. It looks so natural, and you look very much part of it. You're an intricate part. Let's talk about challenges and rewards and that sort of thing. I mean, being a supporting artist requires different skills, and a very different, unique set of skills and patience. What are some of the challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Again, it's thinking, am I always, there's nothing wrong. Like I said, I'm a big champion of, I still do a lot of support, being a supporting artist. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But ultimately, I think the majority of people, they just want that break. They want somebody to say, do you know what? I'm going to give you a chance. I want to see what you've got. Yeah. And like I said, it's, everybody wants that role.
That's the dream, trying to get
That's the dream. Yeah. That's the dream. But there's a lot of hard work to be put in it. Yeah. And not just supporting. I think just as important, if not more, I found is networking.
Yeah. Hence our networking magazine, as my plug.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I fell into networking totally. Again, I flew out to Marbella to a premiere, which I've always wanted. Oh, who doesn't want to go to a film premiere in Marbella?
Yeah, exactly.
And the film was Friends of a Friend. They were the directors, so I was quite excited. And we went, and there were 2 premieres on the weekend that we went there. And I went to both and met these lovely people. Again, people that I only saw on a television screen. Very starstruck. Came back to England. Had the London premieres for the same films, went to them, and then realised that the same people that were in Marbella were in London, and from then on, since then, they've all been to all the other premieres because they're there networking. And so I fell into networking, not knowing that I'm actually networking, just thinking, I'm going to see a premiere. I'm going to see these nice people that I see all the time that have become really good friends of mine.
Well, that's an interesting point, Amanda. Is that, would you say that it's not necessarily what you know, but it's a combination of what you know and who you know?
100 million%.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, 100 million%.
Right.
And I've learned that, again, through networking. If I've never been to these premieres, if I've never met these people, I wouldn't know, even though I'm in the industry, where to start. How do you approach these people? Do you send them a DM? Right. A lot of them don't see them or don't read because they have hundreds of them. How do you go to meet these people? So networking, and again, networking isn't easy. You have to do the traveling, you have to.
Sure.
It's a lot of work, and it can be expensive as well, getting there, everything, glamming up for these. But it is so, so important because you get to speak to these people in a different environment from a film set. They get to know you, the real you, not whatever, work you've done on television or in film. Sure. You get to know them and you build a rapport, and that's what it is. And I believe that if you're going to give somebody a part in a film that you've produced or you've directed, you need to be your selling point. They need to like you, first and foremost. And these networking places are where everybody's relaxed, everybody's had a drink, and everybody can get to know each other. And then you become familiar with these people, and they do become really, really good friends. And I've met some of my best friends at these networking events that we have.
I mean, I'm a strong advocate. I always go networking myself, and I understand that it is a lot of it is not what you know, but who you know. And you're right; it can be quite expensive going to these events and mingling and spending hours on hours in the hope that you'd meet the right person. So, I do that too, and I can sympathise with that. Okay, well, what about working in this industry? What sort of insights, in the world of filmmaking can you share? And what about interesting anecdotes or behind the scenes stories from your time on set?
So my very, very first role as a supporting artist, I didn't know what I was going for. I only knew that it was at Pinewood Studios down in London.
Wow.
I'd never, ever done any type of acting apart from the theatre that I'd done at school.
Right.
Very nervous, didn't know what a film set looked like, didn't know what the rules were. Arrived there again, first girl to arrive there, handed in my phone, because that was one of the things, you're not allowed phones on set.
Right.
Went into costume, then went into makeup, into a big trailer.
Wow.
The girl that I remember, the girl that was doing my makeup, tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Look to your right." And to my right was Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe, oh my God.
Who obviously at the time had just not long finished Harry Potter.
Right.
And me being very uncool went, "Oh my God, it's Harry Potter." And he looked at me and he said, "Please don't call me that. My name's Daniel." And I was like, "But how is this? This is just, how am I?"
Surreal, yeah.
You know, sitting next to such a big star, and I just I wasn't cool at all. He was very kind, very chatty. Anyway, I finished my makeup. So this was for a 4-part Sky series. It was called The Young Doctor's Notebook. He was then to be my doctor, and I was his patient.
Wow. Okay.
I was a Russian peasant, and he was my doctor, and he was going to cure me of my illness.
Okay.
After my makeup, I had some free time, and went outside, went into the forecourt, waiting to be called in, and I was smoking. I had a cigarette, and all of a sudden he's approached me and stood there and was having a cigarette with me. And I thought, A, should Harry Potter be smoking? And B, no one's going to believe me. Who would believe that? You know, I've got no camera. I can't ask for a selfie. You're not allowed anyway. But I will never forget that time we sat there and we spoke.
It's so nice.
And I was just so, he was so lovely. He was just so lovely. And then after that, obviously lunchtime, you sit all in the same green room and you're having lunch. And there was also, so he played the young doctor, and John Hamm, the American actor, played himself when he was older, the older doctor.
Right.
And you're thinking, I'm sat here having my salad. It's all so surreal when it's your first time. And like I said, I did have a lot of imposter syndrome, but that imposter syndrome still stays with me now.
Sure.
Even doing this podcast.
Probably makes you a better person, right? Probably makes you.
It does. And it humbles you, and you think, to him it wasn't a big deal, and I was just another person, and we sat there, like I said, we stood there outside in the sunshine having a chat.
It's nice.
And it was, and I'll never ever forget. That was my first time at Pinewood Studios, and I'll never forget. I thought, no one's ever going to believe this story.
Well, look, time to give it your advice. I mean, there are a lot of people who are watching this who are aspiring actors, who want to get into the industry. And many of them would love to share a place on your stage. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to pursue a career in acting?
Firstly, never ever give up. Wow. Never. Mm-hmm. The dream might take longer than you think. Never give up. Find yourself an agent or an agency, because it can be a bit overwhelming when you want to, when you first start. Do your homework. Never ever pay up front for an agent or agency. A good agent or an agency will never ask you for money up front. Okay. They will take commission off your first job. That's how it works. Never ever pay anyone up front. Put yourself forward. Don't be, embarrassed to go for any role. Try everything. Put yourself forward for everything, and be patient. You have to be patient, and just know that even in the future, whether it's supporting artist, whether it's, an actor, an actress, you are going to get a lot of no's. But every no, I still believe this. I'm a big firm believer. Every no, you're closer to a yes. The more no's you get out the way, the closer you are to a yes. And it will happen. You can't go into this thinking, I've never, ever once, and I say this to everyone, I've never, ever, this is just a passion of mine. It's always, it's there. And I thought, I never, ever want to, die thinking I've never pursued this. Even if I fail, then I fail. It's never been about money, and it's definitely never been about fame.
It's like a burning passion you've got for your industry.
It is. It's my, it's, it's always there. It's always there in the back of my head. I'm always thinking about it, always. It comes out of a place because I enjoy it so much. And that's why, obviously, you go through all these sacrifices. Yeah. Waking up early at 3:00 to travel and to go to these places in the cold, in the wet, standing outside in the rain while you're filming for days on. But that's why you have to really want this, and you have to do it for the right reasons.
Right. Okay. And what about personal projects? I mean, what are some of your personal projects or roles that you're most proud of as a benchmark for what you do and how you do it? Can you tell us a little bit about those?
I have a couple of, like I said, projects at the moment, which
no spoilers
are coming out this year. I can't really talk, like I said, I can't talk a lot about.
Fine.
I think I'm proud of everything I put myself forward to, because I wouldn't say yes to it if I didn't believe in it. I'm forever grateful for Towie for giving me the, how many 14 series now that, it's given me such a platform, and I've met some of my closest friends there. The cast are like family.
Yeah.
And I hold a very, very special place. Towie is very special to me, and will always be special to me. So I think I'm grateful for all of it.
Wonderful. Okay. And what does your future look like? I mean, we all have goals and aspirations and things we want to achieve. And so looking ahead, what are your goals and aspirations as an actress? I mean, are there any specific roles or projects that you'd love to be part of in the future?
I really, I've been thinking about this lately. I'd really like to get like a gritty part. Like, I'd really like to be like a baddie, a female baddie in a film. That would be my... Because I'm always like the good girl, or the funny one.
Yeah.
I'd like to get something a bit gritty, but
challenging.
Ultimately, I'd like to just get a main role. That would be my, my dream, to get like the main role.
Stay tuned. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, there are lots. I mean, would you say that the calendar works in effect? For example, in the summer there are more roles, in the winter there are less roles. Does it work like that? Is there like a high season for actors, or that doesn't exist?
No, I don't think so. No. I mean, Christmas, everything goes a bit quiet, doesn't it? Christmas time, but then that's everything and everywhere. No, I just think it's all year round, and you have to put yourself forward. You have to put the work in, self-taping, self-auditioning. Yeah, something that I found very hard, but which I've said to myself, promised myself this year I'm going to do, is putting myself, coming out of your comfort zone, doing self-taping, things that I wouldn't usually do, like doing this podcast. It's out of my comfort zone, pushing myself, because only then will you know how far you can go and what you can do.
It's amazing.
So, that is my thing. And also, just one last thing, which I think is really, really important, and I'm a big believer in this. I'm a big supporter of everyone. Support your fellow artists, support your friends, support everyone. Everyone needs that support.
Right.
I'm always there. I believe that if my friends win, I win. I'm always there, front row, cheering everybody on, because if they, firstly, I get immense pleasure seeing my friends, whatever they are, if they're, comedians. I have friends that are singers. I have friends that are models. I have friends that are actors and actresses, directors, producers. I'm there. I'm always there, front row, cheering them on.
We'd love to have you back on the show to talk about all of your projects, the ones that you can't tell me about, which I'm dying to know about, and get you back on the show to talk about them when you can. Well, listen, Amanda, we're nearly out of time, but thank you so much for sharing your experience and insights with us. It was a pleasure to have you on the show. And before we wrap up, you're welcome. Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to share, or any message that you'd like to give to our listeners?
No, just again, don't keep the dream alive. Don't ever give up. It will come, manifest. Work hard. You have to work hard. You can't just, sit at home and wait for it to happen. You've got to put the work in. No one's going to come knocking on your door saying, oh, do you want to be an actress? You've got to put the work in, work hard, Stay humble. That's a big one. Stay humble.
Yeah.
Be respectful whatever you are. Whether you're a supporting artist, if you're stood in a corner somewhere, or you're front up in the main, part. Be respectful. Be professional. Be on time. And your time will come. Everybody's time will come.
Well said. Well said. Well, you can follow Amanda on Instagram. Her details are in the podcast description box. However, Amanda, please tell our audience what your Instagram is so that they can follow you straight away.
Okay, so it's Cardy73.
Wonderful. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you all for tuning in to Jibba Jabba. Be sure to follow Amanda on her social media channels and stay updated with her upcoming projects. Until next time, take care and keep pursuing your dreams. Bye for now.